Okay, so today we're doing a deep dive on something a little different.
Hmm.
We're going to be looking at how to improve your English every single day.
Sounds good.
Yeah. We've got some excerpts here from a script called English Made Simple. And I think you're going to be surprised by some of these. I know I was when I first read it.
Yeah, I think what's really interesting about this script is it's not about, like becoming fluent like that, like
Right?
overnight or anything like that. It's really about making small, sustainable changes
Yeah,
that you can, stick with over time.
absolutely.
And I think that's really the key to learning any language, right? It's
Yeah,
consistency.
for sure. For sure. So the first tip they have here is reading a little bit every day,
Right.
which, seems pretty obvious.
Hmm.
But what I liked about their take on it is that they encourage people to read things that they enjoy.
Absolutely. I think that's so important because if you're not enjoying what you're reading, you're not going to stick with it. So it's finding something that, sparks your interest, whether that's, a blog about your favorite hobby,
Mm-hmm.
or even, children's books,
Oh,
like
yeah.
something that's easy to read and enjoyable.
Yeah,
And that will keep you coming back for more.
absolutely. The next tip they have is to practice speaking aloud,
Oh,
which can be, I think a lot of people, might find that a little scary.
yeah, I think a lot of people are afraid to speak aloud because they're afraid of making mistakes.
Right.
But the thing is that you're gonna make
Of
mistakes.
course.
Everyone makes mistakes when they're learning a language.
Yeah.
The important thing is to just keep practicing and not be afraid to put yourself out there.
Yeah. And they actually have some suggestions for this,
Okay.
which I thought were great.
Yeah.
Like reading aloud from different sources,
Yeah.
reciting a favorite poem, even talking to yourself in the mirror.
That's a good one.
Right. I thought that was a good tip.
It really helps you to get comfortable with the sounds of the language
Mm-hmm.
and to practice your pronunciation without feeling self-conscious.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up is watching and listening to English media.
Right.
So this is another one that seems pretty obvious,
Yeah.
But there are a lot of different ways to go about this.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, what are your thoughts on how to pick the right things?
Well, I think it's important to choose things that you're interested in,
Right.
just like with reading.
Mm.
So, if you're a big fan of movies, watch movies in English.
Right.
If you like TV shows, watch TV shows in English.
Yeah.
Um, and there are so many great resources out there now.
Yeah, for sure.
There's streaming services, there's YouTube, there's podcasts.
Okay.
There's really no shortage of content.
Yeah. And a lot of the stuff you can watch with subtitles,
Right.
which I do all the time. Even just like having the English subtitles on really helps me.
It can be really helpful, especially if you're trying to learn new vocabulary.
Yeah.
Or if you're having trouble understanding a particular accent, subtitles can be a great way to kind of bridge that gap.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Next up is writing regularly,
Right.
which I think a lot of people, they think about writing and they think about like grammar exercises and stuff,
Yes.
which are not fun.
Not necessarily the most exciting thing in the world,
Yeah.
but I think it's important to remember that writing can be a really fun and creative way to improve your English.
Absolutely. So what are some of your thoughts on how to make it more fun?
I think it's all about finding ways to incorporate writing into your everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you like to journal, you can journal in English.
Right.
If you like to write stories, you can write stories in English.
Yeah.
Even just writing emails or text messages to friends or family in English can be a great way to practice.
Absolutely. Okay, and then the final tip they have here is to learn a few new words every day,
Oh, yeah.
which again, seem pretty obvious.
Right.
But what are your thoughts on how to make this like actually stick?
Yeah, I think the key here is to not just memorize the definitions of words.
But to really try to understand how to use them in context.
Yeah.
So, one way to do this is to use flashcards.
Mm-hmm.
But another way is to try to use the new words in sentences
Okay.
or to write a short story or a paragraph using the new words.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can also try to explain the meaning of the words to someone else,
Okay.
which is a great way to really solidify your understanding.
Absolutely. So basically what we're learning from this script, English Made Simple, is that consistency and a positive attitude are key.
Yes, definitely. I think it's important to remember that learning a language takes time and effort,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also a really rewarding experience.
Oh, for sure.
And so just, try to enjoy the process.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to make mistakes
Mm-hmm.
and celebrate your successes along the way.
Absolutely. Well, that is all the time we have for this deep dive.
But before we go, I want to leave you with one final thought. Think about one specific area of English that you'd like to improve. Maybe it's speaking more fluently, or maybe it's expanding your vocabulary. And then choose one of these tips that we talked about today and make a conscious effort to incorporate it into your routine this week. I think you'll be surprised by the results.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll see you next time.
See you later.